In this video, I'm gonna show you how to crush your sales interview questions so you can land your dream job and make the income you deserve. So if you're watching this, most likely you are somebody who is looking for a sales job. Maybe you're applying as a closer, maybe you're applying as a sales development or business development rep, someone that generates leads, or maybe you're just starting out. I'm gonna show you exactly how to answer some of the sales interview questions that you're most likely going to get in a way that is going to get you hired and stand out for the rest of the crowd. Now, the first question that pretty much every interviewer likes to ask, and it's a very lazy question, and that's gonna be, tell me about yourself, right? So here's how I typically like to answer the question. If you just start talking, it's gonna be very boring for the interviewer, right? What I like to do is kind of reverse the situation, which actually shows your sales ability to control conversation. And I would say, okay, great. There's many places where I can start to tell you about myself. Is there anything in particular you want to know? Or is there any specific area where you want me to start? What's gonna happen is they're gonna be like, oh, that's a very interesting way to control the conversation. That's what they're thinking subconsciously. So by doing this, you're controlling the frame of the conversation. But also because you ask the question, what typically ends up happening, and I've done this a lot when I was starting my sales career, the person typically says, oh, you can start wherever you want. That gives me reins to basically talk about anything I want, control the entire conversation. So what I did when I was applying at Oracle and other companies as well, I would say, okay, well, there's two philosophies that I run my entire life around. The first is to love and be loved, and the second is to inspire others. And I want to talk about that second part, inspiring others, and how it relates to this particular role here. Then I would go into my whole story about why I'm so motivated to help other people and bring other people up, right? So this makes me clearly different from any other salesperson. The average salesperson is going to say something like, I went to this school, I worked at this place, and you're basically generic, just like everybody else. But if you control the conversation and ask these questions in that way to get the permission to say anything you want, you can say stuff like, my mission in life is to inspire others. Here's why, right? And then you can go into this whole motivational story, which will separate you from the rest of the crowd. From there, what's going to happen is they kind of understand who you are, what you're about, what your philosophy is, whether or not they want to work with you. From there, they kind of need to vet, what kind of experience do you have? What do you bring to the table? Do you have the ability to sell? So they'll say, tell me about your past sales experience. So for a lot of people, you may not have any sales experience, which is totally fine. What you want to do is you want to connect things that are related to sales into this conversation. So if you've ever been a leader in some kind of community, some kind of organization, if you ever did presentations in school, or you're always the person that raises their hand, for example, use those experiences as a replacement for not having any sales experience. Because I understand everybody has to start somewhere. But if you show people that you have the ability to communicate, push forward, show determination, not quit, right? Because, a lot of people quit sales because they don't like cold calling, whatever. Then you're going to show that you have the character and tenacity to actually be successful at their company, and you have the ability to learn new skills, right? So that's pretty much the name of the game. When you want to get a job that you're maybe not qualified for, or if it's an entry-level job and you have no experience, show that number one, you have skills related to that job, which is communications, presentations, talking to people, writing ability as well. The other side is that you have the aptitude to learn new things, so that no matter what happens on the job, you're that type of person that will keep continuing to push, learn new things, and get the job done. If you do those two things and demonstrate you're that guy or you're that girl, most likely you're going to get hired, because most sales managers or people that are recruiting, they're not really looking for your sales experience, especially if they already know you don't have experience, right? They know that. They called you for an interview because they want to see who you are. If you just show that you're someone that's workable, willing to learn, then that's pretty much all it really takes to get the job. And by the way, if you want to take your sales game to the next level and start your career in sales, get a high-paying sales job at some of the top companies, whether it's tech or consulting, whether you name it, make sure to check out my masterclass, saleslegacy.com. It's going to teach you everything you need to know when it comes to lead generation, starting out in sales, getting a sales job, learning how to close deals, negotiating, you name it, it is all there. So make sure to check out saleslegacy.com to learn more. So the next question people might have is, why did you choose a career in sales? This is the mistake most people make. They usually say like, oh, everybody said I was good at talking and I was always that loudmouth. So it makes sense that I would make money with my mouth, right? So that's like a funny way to do it, but that's the reality that most people kind of get into. They're like, I have no skills, but I can talk. So that's why I want to do sales. You don't want to do that, right? You want to actually reverse it, and I'll give you a tip. Sales is one of the most important functions of a business. If a business does not generate revenue, then there's no business because there's no money coming in. If there's no money coming in, you cannot pay the product person. salesperson, you can't pay the accountant, you can't pay anybody, right? So you want to say something like, I understand that sales is one of the most valuable aspects of a company. I'm doing sales and I'm applying for this job because I want to learn the skill set of selling, because it is one of the most valuable skills that one can have in their life. And I want to learn it with you guys because you guys have the best product, you have some of the best teams, everyone's saying good things about you. So this kind of feels like a good fit for me, right? It's all about that good fit kind of idea. So if you're showing someone that you're a more intellectual, you're not someone here just for a paycheck and you just want to get paid a commission, but you're actually somebody that wants to learn the skill set of selling, and you're passionate about that because you understand the value it creates within an organization and how you can even take that with you for the rest of your career. The recruiter is going to be thinking, damn, this guy is someone that actually thinks long term. They're not here just to collect a paycheck. They're actually going to try, not because they want to get paid, but of course they want to get paid, but because they see a long-term future in developing this skill set. And that is the qualities of a leader. So that's the vibe that you want to create. And that's how you show that you're different from everybody else. So that person looking at you is going to think, okay, this guy will probably succeed on the job. He's not going to give up. They're going to do their best to learn on the job. And then most likely they have the characteristics of being a leader. So it's really going to be good for the sales environment. You want to be that type of person that adds that immense value as a individual contributor, salesperson into any organization. With that, we understand like high level stuff. Let's talk about like the tactics, right? So what can you actually do for the company, especially if you don't have any sales experience, right? So there's two main things. You're going to be talking on the phone or doing video calls, most likely, right? Usually you're doing like inside sales or remote sales, or you're going to be sending emails, LinkedIn messages, and things of that nature. So you have to show them that, hey, you're someone that has high emotional intelligence. You know how to write emails, right? Which sounds very basic, but a lot of people can't do it. You know how to write good emails that sound very human. You know how to talk to people on the phone, make it very natural, and you're pretty much good to go, right? And of course, all the little techniques and strategies of like how to say things, how to write things to increase our sales, you'll learn those things later. But at the beginning of the stages, if you have a great personality and people like you, you can still make sales even if you don't know any techniques. So you just have to show you're that person that can write an email, you can write a LinkedIn message, you know how to not be awkward, you know how to talk to people, you know how to go to a networking event and make friends and get business cards, right? These are basic fundamental things, especially in business development. Just show that you're not weird, essentially, right? Next question that people have is, why do you want to work at this company in particular? You can work at any of the companies that exist. Why do you want to work at this one? And let me tell you what you should say. You basically want to tell this company, assuming they're a good company, that number one, they got the best product, and you understand that you want to be working with the best, and it's easier to selling a good product. So you believe in their product. You have to convince them of how much you believe in them as a company, right? Because once they see that, they're like, yeah, this guy gets it. Number two, it's all about people. Because they have a good product and you heard great things about them online, you've done your research, you want to be working in that sales environment because you want to learn from the best, because you consider yourself as someone who has high potential. Someone high potential wants to work with the best, so it only makes sense. People who are the best want to work with people with high potential, right? So you're basically just saying like, hey, I think I am a good fit for your company because of these reasons, because I work hard, I want to do all these things. You guys have great people, you have a great product. I want to see myself advance through the ladders of whatever your sales organization is and kill it. If you show that you're that type of person that thinks long-term and you're actually thoughtful in your answers and you actually want to work at the company for a long time, of course they're going to hire you, right? And so that's pretty much it. Great product, great people. You're that type of person that wants to work around those people, and that's how you get around that question. Last question that people typically have is the interviewer will typically say, great, so now that we understand you and who you are, do you have any questions for us? The thing you never want to say is, nope, I'm all good. Don't be that person that doesn't have any questions. Of course, you have to have questions, because by showing you have questions, it shows that you did homework. It shows that also you have options and you want to make sure this is the best fit for you. So it increases your perceived value as well, right? So now you got to ask some tough questions for them on why they should hire you, right? In terms of like, why should you, if you have all these options, work for them? So how do you set up these questions? Well, for me, I like to look at people. Because when you work at a company, you're essentially saying that you're going to spend 8 hours a day with these people, right? So you want to clarify who these people are, how they act, what the culture is, to see whether or not you like them, right? Because I say something like this: being collaborative is something that I value a lot, right? I like to work with people, learn from people, teach others where I can. So can you tell me more about your company culture and how the sales team in particular is collaborative with each other, because I know for a lot of sales teams, sometimes it's a dog eat dog mentality and everyone doesn't want to share information. So I want to know how it works at your company. So from there, they're going to be like, this guy gets it, because they're going to think, oh, we're super collaborative. This guy understands it. He's asking me that question. So let me tell him about how great our company is. So now they're basically having to pitch you on why you should join them, which increases your perceived value, right? So it can be any question, right? This is just one question, but you can frame it in so many different ways. If you want to think like long-term, right? You could say, hey, if I start out at this company as a account executive, what does the career progression typically look like, right? Like, I'm someone that's interested in managerial roles, and one day I want to be, VP of sales. That's one of my dreams. So for you guys, where do you see me fitting in if I were to, do all the right things? And so they would tell you about career progression and how that would work, right? So there's many things you can do, but the main point is that you have to think long-term. You have to think about who you want to work with, and you build questions around that so you can satisfy yourself and convince yourself why you should work for them, right? So the question itself, it doesn't really matter. It's all about the vibe and energy that you bring. Are you someone that actually thinks long-term, or are you just saying like, how much am I going to get paid, right? Because nobody likes that. Once you start thinking long-term, people see you're a long-term person, and long-term people like to play long-term games with other long-term people. So that's how you get hired. With that said, that's everything we got to cover for this video. If you want to learn more about sales and take your sales game to the next level, make sure to check out my masterclass, saleslegacy.com, where you're going to learn everything you need to know about sales, on how to start a sales career, how to do remote sales, how to become an account executive, how do you actually make 6 figures as a sales rep. Everything is covered on saleslegacy.com. We have hundreds of students that have already enrolled, so make sure you check that out. With that said, my name is Patrick Deng, and I will see you in the next one.